mostly, maybe a little bit about radiation due to Fukushima, but mostly Wi-Fi today. There's a lot to get through, so I'm going to go a little longer than my last video. Um, First, I'd like to talk again about boots and shoes, some other stuff that I've come across since my last recording. So with boots like these, a lot of the concern is with grounding as usual and shielding. And so what I found, instead of those chip bags, what I did instead was I switched over to these insoles. They're cushioned insoles. They're not the gel insoles because those turn to gel. I use my boots a lot, and so these ones were more robust. And what I do is I put an anti-static dryer sheet from the clothes dryer, yeah. And so I put that in there by the toe, especially by the toe. And then I put the insole in there. And also sometimes what I will do is I'll put a piece of rubber, like from a bicycle tire inner tube, something like that, in there between the sock and the toe. So this sometimes might involve buying a boot that's a half size larger than what you would normally buy, but to make everything fit in the toe area. But then you'll notice that a lot of the stuff that is communicated from the ends of your toes, especially your large toe, is really diminished a lot when you're going through your day with your boots. So I guess that's boots. And let's see what else. Socks. It's important to think about the material of the socks, staying away from 100% cotton, going more with the performance fibers, 50% polyester, 50% cotton, this type of idea, more waterproof, breathable, active wear. They cost about the same, maybe a little more, but for a couple of dollars more, it's very much worth it. Then of course, talk about pants and cargo pants. So what I've been doing is, because you have the metal fly around your private area, and that's a very powerful area for nerve endings. So, and it's metal, and it's ungrounded metal, and in Wi-Fi world, obviously, we don't want a lot of ungrounded metal on our body, unless we're grounding it and shielding it in an aftermarket kind of way, in, cheap, yet effective ways. And so one of the things that I was doing is similar to the boot. I would put a couple of anti-static dryer sheets in my front pockets, a couple of anti-static dryer sheets in my back pockets, also a couple of small pieces of rubber from the bicycle inner tubes, not so that they're bulging, making me look like I have some kind of tumor on my thigh or something like that, but just enough that's in there. You could cut it so that you know what you're doing, or even a couple of layers if you feel like you want that, front and back. And also, if you do have the cargo pants pockets, you can do that with those as well, and you will notice a difference. With the belt, you can use elastic bands. I would go for a belt that doesn't have the big honking metal buckle, and try not to carry keys, spare change, things like that in your pockets. Try to keep them somewhere else, like maybe your backpack or something like that. Try to keep that off your body as much as you can, especially away from private area, because it's a very active spot as far as your energy, your body energy, and how Wi-Fi interacts with that. Right? And so shirts, if you can buy a shirt with a pocket, on one side, that's great, because then you can do the same thing you've been doing with your boots and your pants. Also underwear, you should keep in mind, try to go with the 50% polyester, 50% cotton, not the 100% cotton. If you can get a shirt with two pockets, breast pockets, maybe with buttons, then that makes it a lot easier. You can still be active, and you've got your anti-static sheets in there, your little piece of rubber in there, and just doing as much as you can to get to zero as close as possible. Your capacitance, I guess you could call it, as a body in the Wi-Fi experience. I think we act as capacitors. So we're like a great big amount of ohms. If you're into that stuff. So let's see what else. Try to avoid things that might make you more agitated, like coffee and tea, perhaps caffeinated things, cigarettes, nicotine, drugs. Obviously, alcohol could be a problem for a lot of people. Because a lot of this stuff it can simulate schizophrenia or things like that, and it's obviously that for most of us it's not schizophrenia, and so we don't want to do things that contribute to what will we say symptoms. Because some of those types of things are real; they're not our imagination, and if they're enhanced by things like white sugar or coffee or things like that, probably don't do as many of those things in a week or a month or a year. Jackets as well, and sometimes you might see a jacket and you might say, well, that's not a bad jacket, it looks warm, and it's obviously going to have zippers on it. So, the same thing goes. I put the anti-static in there, the rubber in there. I try not to zip it up all the way, but enough to keep the stuff from falling out. And then the pockets as well, and you can even do it with your head. The thing about the anti-static sheets is that they're not particularly health food, so you might want to not put them directly onto your skin. You might want to put a layer of fabric or something like that, and kind of like a handkerchief or something like that, and then yeah, you could put them under your hat like that. Also, pieces of rubber, you could do that as well, because there's a lot coming out from your head. You want to address that as well. Your glasses, you want to maybe try and get plastic lenses instead of glass lenses, plastic frames instead of metal frames. These types of things. Maybe you don't want to wear a wristwatch. Maybe you don't want to have those types of ideas. You can have a wristwatch, but you don't necessarily have to have it on you at all times. So there's other types of things. Also, I guess this is going to seem a little disjointed. I've been in touch with the International Criminal Court, and so they're aware of me, and I'm aware of them. I've been aware of them for years. They were very happy to hear from me, so in case you're wondering, is anyone contacting them, or, are they still active? Are they still interested? Yes, people are contacting them. Yes, they're interested, and yes, they're active. One of the big problems is for that body to take action, the nation that you live in has to have ratified it. In my case, that's Canada, and we have, so that's solved there. Another problem is raising the money to do the case. The burden is on the victim. So the court doesn't pay for the case to move forward. The victim has to pony up the money to take the bully to the court, and that is obviously millions of dollars probably. So working on it, but maybe not as fast as I could. Also want to talk about sleeping pills. If you're having problems sleeping, there are pills you can go to without going to the doctor. If you want to go to the doctor, you go to the doctor. If you don't want to go to the doctor, you can get over-the-counter ones. They work quite well, and there's no prescription. So these ones are called diphenhydramine hydrochloride. These are 50 milligrams, and they cost about, I don't know, $8 or something for an amount of them, 10 or 20 of them, I guess. I take maybe one every couple of weeks or something if I feel like I want to. If I feel like I want to have an extra couple of hours of nice sleep, then I do that. If most of the time, though, these days I don't even. So where am I here with this? Oh yes, I wanted to talk about Project Polyphone. I wanted to talk about Ralston Research. I wanted to talk a little bit about MK Ultra and how those are connected with Wi-Fi and stuff like that. I have a little evidence in case you're thinking that this is kind of a conspiracy theory or something like that. Who's to say conspiracy theory, conspiracy? There's definitely a conspiracy, and it's beyond theory. Unfortunately, I didn't prepare properly. It's in the next room. I'll just go get it. I'll be right back. Okay, so this is from where I was recording last. I've moved since then to a better place as far as shielding. But anyways, this place that I was in before was part of a program called CMHC SCHL, and this is part of the stuff that they had in there as part of that. This is from a bag from Insulation, which is part of the program. Here it says right there, Project Polyphone, Ralston Research, it's right there. CMHC, SCHL, that stands for school. It's interesting. 6 mil, this is not millimeters, this is military plastic. And so this building that I was in, that I owned for a little while, was definitely part of this research. So it was really interesting to take it apart at the joints and find out, what was really going on with that particular space. Also wanted to talk, your car and your truck key. So one of my other videos goes into how it's a radio frequency device. And so an easy way to block that off if you're going around in public is these little, maybe you have from time to time a seasoning mix in your soup or your stew or something like that. And these are little metallic plasticized bags. And so you can put your bank card with the RFID chip on there, or in the stripe, you just slide that in there. You can put this in here as well. And you can even double the bag if you want, it depends how much fast access you want. And you'd be amazed the difference, when you're having that type of concept. Another thing you might want to think about is ear protection, like construction type ear protection. This is a soft inner ear protection. Gives you a number of protection amount. So that might be good for you. It usually has a plastic, and then there's the other one. I took the plastic off because I found it uncomfortable, and usually I only put it in one ear so I can still hear out the other ear most of the time what's going on. But one ear is protected, because I do enjoy listening to music, watching movies, things like that require my hearing to be as good as it can possibly be. And I played in a rock band when I was younger, so I did a little bit of damage to my hearing, especially the high frequency ranges. And then so I have to be a little more careful maybe than some people. Also the hard shell. Now some of this can store the static as well, and so what I did is I bought birthday party balloons, and I put them inside there, and also elastics, good quality elastics. I put them between the cup and the frame type of idea there, because what I found was when I put them on, someone who knows who was being obnoxious enough to say, "Oh, look who has fancy ear protection," and then it seemed like they were making little sounds off the top and making little sounds on the side. So I said, "Well, what do you see about this?" And so I aftermarketed it, and it's reduced that to almost zero. So, but as soon as you take it off, it's back to that. And so the same with the cell phone idea, when you're outside, a lot of times, it might be for work or emergencies or whatever. You just get a larger, sometimes we buy, a Parmesan pesto type of idea or whatever it may be, and, just put that in there, and it's amazing the difference. So, same with your laptop, you can put a little piece of rubber in there, little pieces of the anti-static dryer sheets. This, because it's not flesh, you don't have to worry as much about it having contact, so you can really jam it in there. Also, it's really good to buy one of these, or a few of these. These are 100% rubber welcome mats. You can get them at a lot of stores for around $10 each. And once you buy one and you find out what it can do when you just put your hand on it, or your foot, or whatever it may be, then you'd be pretty surprised at how effective it is. And when you're using certain things like metal tools, like maybe scissors or something like that, you can put that on the welcome mat, and that'll ground that off slightly. So when you're using it, you're not going to get any type of shocks or sparks or any of that type of stuff. You want to reduce all of that type of problem down to zero as well as much as you can. So we've covered those. Your backpack, it's going to have, what does this one have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 6 zippers. So you're really going to want to jam that with those dryer sheets as well. They don't all have to be scented. I find for me it's a poor man's shower, so I use the scented ones. I'm not particularly sensitive to the scented or allergic to them or so forth. But some people are, so they have unscented ones and they work just as well. And also the rubber, this is still just right from the store. It's let's go inner tube. And so, you just put these things in here, there, around different places, wherever you think that it's appropriate for you, and really helps a lot. Really, it's an amazing difference. Okay, so we went through that. Ear cleaning, I just want to quickly mention, it's important to keep your ears clean safely, obviously. You have to be careful because you can cause permanent deafness with something like Q-tip type product. But read the instructions, go to the website. There's a lot of help there if you need help with that. But it's important to keep on top of wax buildup and stuff like that, because that is a part of stuff. And there are other people on YouTube who talk about that connection as well. So it's not just me making it up. So the wedding project, I wanted to mention how important that is. I want to refer back to an earlier video I did on how to collect evidence. If it hasn't received a lot of views, I have some subscribers. I have some viewership that I'm happy with. In fact, I'm honored. But there's this one that I posted that's not as popular, I think, because there's not a picture on the thumbnail sketch. It just appears as a blank black screen, and that's because it's an audio file. So it details how easy it is to collect evidence about this stuff, so that if somebody says, how can you prove to me that these things that you're saying you're hearing are not your imagination? And this video is just great. And I have myself about 5 terabytes of this type of evidence, so I mean it's really easy and really fast to build up a backlog of hours and hours and hours of this type of indisputable evidence, court-ready evidence. And so it's there. A lot of people are doing this type of stuff. And you can hear my dog eating his kibbles in the background. So we want to talk about Wi-Fi smog and how it works, and talk about Health Canada Safety Code 6. The Health Canada Code went under review a little while ago. Nothing was changed. Some people said it wasn't really a fair review. Whether it was or whether it wasn't, I agree. I don't think it was, but the problem is they're not going to do another one for maybe 5, maybe 10 more years. They'll just say, well, we just did one. There's no need to do it again. That was really the objective, and they succeeded. So the standard in Canada is 1,000 microwatts per centimeter square, which is a little unusual because that's a linear measurement, and Wi-Fi acts as on us within a volume, 3-dimensional. You may say, certainly not 2-dimensional. So I converted it into cubic meters because I thought that would be helpful. And what you get is, I also changed microwatts, because once you start getting microwatts in cubic meters, according to that standard, it works out to 50 billion. So we don't normally work with numbers like that. We'll change that into milliwatts or watts, or in this case kilowatts, and it works out to 10 kilowatts per meter square, which is roughly 3 feet, a little over 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet, and that's 1,000 liters. So you can do the math. You can do these calculations yourself. So that's somewhat helpful to put it into the 3D perspective. But if you really want to get a sense of what we experience as people in Wi-Fi world, you might want to multiply that by 10. So that would be deci, cubic meter, but it would be a cubic decimeter. And then you multiply, obviously, the kilowatt by 10 as well. So that's 100 kilowatts in the decimeter cubed. And I think that gives you a more relevant understanding of what we're being exposed to with the energy and, as far as the safety standard is concerned, and thoughts about is it thermal, and you can go into research about these types of things, and you should. So I think that's okay. Let's see what else did I do here. I want to mention many devices we're hearing operate at about 5 times as much as the safety standard. Smart meters on the sides of houses, for example, the salespeople will say, yes, they're within compliance, but then we have reliable anonymous sources who say they're running at 5 times the standard, and there's no particular monitoring or teeth-in penalties or anything like that. So when you think of that, you can, instead of saying 100 kilowatts per cubic decimeter, you just multiply by 5, and then you'd say 500 is what's going to be necessary to have the smart meters working effectively if they're working at that strength, which we believe most of them in Canada are. So let's see what else. Health problems, obviously we've seen health problems. It's hard to get the real hard numbers because doctor-patient confidentiality and so forth. But we hear in other ways that there's a tremendous increase in cancers, suicides, all kinds of things that we can think are related to the Wi-Fi and so forth. So let's see. Okay. I want to talk about the plan to move from the current strength of pulsed microwaves to a more intense pulse, and this is to enable them to put not only place sounds and audio but video as well. So you can imagine trying to drive, for example, in an environment like that where it's very hard to drive because it seems like perhaps there's snow, like the TV when there's the station is gone off the air and it's just like snow, and if they put that there, you'll go to an eye doctor. The eye doctor will say, well, that doesn't make any sense. Your eyes seem fine. We can run you through some scans, but I can't see any explanation. Well, we know what that explanation is, and so how to shield with that in mind. That's pretty intense, and that's coming. In fact, a lot of people have been really pushing for that for years, and it's been deemed to be too soon in Canada. But we hear it's coming soon. So, I want to talk about health risks when living close to a mast or a cell phone tower. They may be increased, so you might want to think about that. I want to mention that I do know how to make a Wi-Fi proof enclosure within a house, which I've done, and it works great. You don't need a fancy meter to check if it works. You just you try to use your cell phone within the enclosure and try to order a pizza. Your cell phone won't work. So you've done, maybe not to zero, but you've done a fantastic job of Wi-Fi proofing that space. And the principle can also apply to a house. And I'm available as a consultant. I'm not available as a free consultant. I do charge, but just want to let you know I have that ability. And I guess it's running on a bit, so we'll close it off for now. Try to keep it under 30 minutes today, and we've done that. That's great. Maybe before we leave, I'll let you see my little dogs, see if they'll come over and say hello to the YouTube people. Little ones, you want to come over? Yes, you want to come over? Who's that little one? Oh, who's that little one? Oh, and who is this big one? Who's this big one? Oh, those big rascals. Those little rascals. This one is a Newfoundland Retriever, and this one's a German Shepherd. And They're my little friends. That's great. Okay, so I'll try to upload this now and see when you see it. You can leave comments, obviously, and stuff. I appreciate the comments. Oh, I want to remind you of my email. It's freedomshell@outlook.com. If you want to email me, that's a good way to contact me. And till next time.